Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I am your meteorologist for the evening, Cloud Hudson. That's a comedian / meteorologist. And I will be bringing you all of today's top weather stories. And I think I'm going to start off the stream a little different than I usually do. Instead of jumping right into our volcano update, I am going to do the headlines first. So let's check that out. Let's go for the headlines. All right, there we go. Let me make sure I have chat up. Okay, let's see. No. There was a landslide in the Swiss Alps. There's been heavy rainfall and flooding in Switzerland. 3 people are missing. So that is very unfortunate, but at least they're not left out of the extreme weather. You can be a neutral country all you want, and you're still not neutral when it comes to the environment. Everybody gets their own tragedies. Really, I'm not trying to be rude or anything. It just is. It's really sad. Look at all that mudslide damage. Big landslide. Really unfortunate. They had torrential rains in Switzerland and France recently. Next. Oh, did I freeze my computer? Because next. Birds started washing ashore in Florida. Quote, that's a lot. A surge of dead and injured birds have washed ashore in Florida. We're not sure if that's the stormy weather conditions or speculating that it's just a little bit weird out there. They also are near the Bermuda Triangle. So not concerned about the possibility. Thinking this is just weather, probably just stormy seas. Birds just got tired. A massive dust storm, in addition to the wildfires and flooding in Mexico. Check out this massive dust storm. You can see it on satellite imagery here. Just this big, huge outflow that is, an outflow boundary isn't that bad in the plains where they have more stable soils, but having a type of convective system that has that kind of a haboob hitting New Mexico, that can really do some damage in a place where the soils aren't as stabilized. They have a lot of crustal soils where there's just bacteria and lichen keeping the soil alive on the surface, and a haboob can really do some damage there. It was over 200 miles, carving a 200-mile path. Largest dust storm people have ever experienced there. This is probably all connected to the it was Thursday morning, so this was all connected to the Thursday and Friday rainstorms moving through New Mexico. So, in addition to all the wildfires and flooding, they also had a haboob. It's such a great name. All right. Floods have also not just only ravaged Switzerland, we're also seeing flooding in Bangladesh. Unfortunately, there's over 120,000 people who are stranded in homes or neighborhoods that can't get access to anybody else. There are millions of people that live in Bangladesh, and they're in knee-deep water. This is a really big concern for when really big concern for clean drinking water, as we've stressed before, that in flooding situations, it's really the access to clean drinking water that is a big deal. And I mean, this is houses that are not very, I mean, they're partially more waterproof and partially less waterproof. They're more waterproof in that some parts of the houses might be more easily replaceable. The materials might be more renewable, but definitely less protection from the water itself. So we're not looking at as much potential mold damage, but definitely looking at actually everything gets swept away. So that is really unfortunate. Raining in Bangladesh. In addition to that, another place that we've seen some flooding is in Sioux Falls, Iowa. Remember yesterday we had those mesoscale discussions, and they didn't even have flash flood emergencies. That was in New Mexico, but this is Sioux Falls, Iowa yesterday. This is wild footage. Just crazy flooding. Really scary. There are people who have been told, like, don't get within 25 or 250 feet of the rivers and creeks. Cars are sinking into the floodwaters. I mean, Iowa's pretty flat. It's going to take a long time for it to drain. And maybe the highest major rainfall ever. I think they also had this had something to do with the wastewater system. The floodwater is threatening the Sioux Falls wastewater treatment plant, and so people are sparking urgent calls. This has sparked urgent calls for water conservation. Again, clean water is the big issue when it comes to flooding. You will get dehydrated from not having access to clean water. Speaking of clean water versus dirty water, both Clear Lake in California and the Black Sea over in Europe have been seen on recent NASA satellite imagery to have huge algal blooms in them. It's possibly due to increased temperatures and also lots of excess nutrients in the water. An algal bloom. It takes a lot to turn a crystal clear lake into a green lake, and this is really unfortunate because animals can't breathe properly when there's algae in the water, because not that the algae gums up their gills, but because algae takes up the free dissolved oxygen in the water, and it's actually the dissolved oxygen in the water that the fish breathe. They need there to be enough oxygen because they'll just take in water and it doesn't oxygenate their blood very well. So this is really unfortunate. The only potential bright side to this would be if people are able to harvest this algae and turn it into biofuels, but I don't think there is infrastructure or businesses in place that are ready to do that at scale. This is also happening in the Black Sea, which is usually a dark blue color and is now a dark emerald color. Suddenly changing color. You can kind of see the changing color from the shore. This might be plumes of nutrients coming from on land. That is very tragic. This is also, near Ukraine, where all that war has been going on. So you got to wonder what kind of impact the chemicals used in warfare have on the water systems. Now, in addition to flooding and algal blooms, we've got in southeastern Turkey, a fire kills 12 and injures dozens. They had a wildfire sparked. One of their interior ministers blames this on an agricultural practice of stubble burning, but I don't know if that's all it is, because there's been a heat wave of being over 104 degrees Fahrenheit in the area lately. And when you have temperatures that high, it doesn't matter how much moisture is already in the air. The ratio in the relative humidity is going to go way down, because hotter air can hold more water. So even with the same amount of water in it as it had at a lower temperature, the air is going to feel so much drier when it's hot. Now, here's a closer to home one. Spectators struck by lightning at the Travelers Championship as the PGA Tour event is hit by second 3-hour delay. They had a dangerous weather delay today in Cromwell, Connecticut. And let me turn that down a little. At a tree on a road that is technically part of the course grounds, a tree was struck by lightning, and 3 people were standing under or near it and were electrocuted. And they are all alive. 2 of them were transferred to the hospital, and 1 declined treatment. So it is good that they did issue those rain delays. You really do need to be looking out for people's safety, especially at such outdoor and in nature events as a golf tournament. I don't know if anybody's watching has ever been to a golf tournament, but it is really like walking around a park with a bunch of people for a long time, and then sometimes you see some guys playing golf. It's mostly like the experience is mostly like being out in the middle of nature. Well, it's a very manicured nature, but they do tend to have lots of very large trees, not little ones, but large ones. And then last but not least, in our headline roundup today, we had eyewitness video of a landslide in Mexico triggered by the heavy rainfall from Alberto. So we've got lots of flooding, fire, and landslides happening right now. Yeah, I think that is where we're going to leave that. I'm working on getting Streamlabs plug-in so that I can show chat on the screen, but right now I have not leveled up that way yet. As of right now. All right. Volcanoes today. Looks like we got a Rearcast update. The drone into the main crater. I think that is, yeah, that's the Rearcast main crater. That looks like some sort of skin lesion on an elephant. Okay. Rearcast, the activity in the crater has been gradually weakening over the past few days, as could be seen in drone footage. Seems that most of the lava travels through a tube system and remains hidden from view on the surface. It emerges from the main flow margin on the north of Salingafell in the form of 3 small lava flows, where it has crossed the barrier. It has crossed the barrier in order to prevent the lava flowing into the town of Grindavik. The construction and lava cooling have been ongoing over the last night. GPS measurements still indicate ground deformation in Svartsengi area, suggesting that pressure in the magma accumulation zone beneath Svartsengi continues to build, albeit at a slower rate than before. Kamchatka did not have any identifiable volcanic ash, and Mount Ibu exploded to flight level 140. Lewitobi continues to explode. So does Samiru and Marapi. Dukono as well. Sporadic emissions from Fuego. possible emissions from Nevado del Ruiz, and Reventador sporadic, Sabancaya unable to detect. Let's take a look at the Icelandic website, the IMO website, see what they've got to say for themselves. Okay, it says that eruption north of Grindavik has stopped. They don't have a article about that yet, but looks like the earthquakes are pretty calm. Let's see what we've got here. News and alerts. Rather stable. We just have this banner at the top of their website saying the eruption has stopped, so I guess it has. And it looks like there's not much gas coming out anymore, so that's good. There will probably be a new hazard map issued soon if the eruption has stopped. Let's look at their GPS. Their GPS ground deformation things. Yeah, the Svartsengi ground deformation at the Blue Lagoon especially looks like we really dropped off. We were land uplifting quite sharply and continuously, and it's really dropped. I mean, that is a big old drop. So something has happened there. Like, do you see this huge drop off? That's interesting. I'm going to have to do some more research about what that means. Yeah, looks like we are tapering off and getting ready for probably our next round of, probably in the next month, we'll be getting ready for our next eruption. Let's see, next, let's take a look at earthquakes. You make my earthquake, make my earthquake. Run around to change my heartbreak. Hello, Kaylee, welcome. Oh, I have heard from Jenny. The first night she was not here at the broadcast, she did comment on a different video of mine, so she's okay. Oh yeah, and I keep forgetting to cover this headline, but Canada is having tornadoes now. Tornado Alley is moving, expanding. It's going crazy. I think we're probably going to see tornadoes in other countries too. New Mexico is burning. That's the update. Is New Mexico's just on fire forever now. Let's take a look at our earthquakes. Is this a new one? Another mid-Atlantic ridge quake of 5.0 today at 3:46 a.m. local Eastern time. Then we had a 4.6 and 5.1 here in Peru at 29 kilometers, 31 kilometers. And then in Bolivia, we had a 4.5 and at 168 kilometers depth and a 4.3 at 226. So some pretty deep ones in Bolivia. Then down in the South Sandwich Islands region, the area that some people think looks like a serpent's head, a little snake head sticking out of the water. We have a 5.0 at 117 kilometers depth. So little rumbling from the snout there. We've also got upper threes in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. These are really closer to the right in between those two areas. Then around the Sierra Madre, we've got our regular cluster of 4 and mid 3 to mid 4 quakes, and these are decently deep, like 111. Who else is deep? Most of these are shallow, actually. The 111 and 112 are deeper, but not those. Then as we get in the central Pacific coast of Mexico, we're looking at 4.0, 3.8, 3.1, 3.6, and 3.8, all moderately not too deep. Oh, the 3.8 off the coast is deeper, and the 4.0 here is at 284 kilometers depth. Now we are getting more consistent daily earthquakes in Oklahoma, as well as our West Texas stack is performing pretty well. Oh, we got a bigger one out here in Utah, a 3.0 near Salt Lake City. This is, and at 2 kilometers depth, I bet someone felt that. Or it's not near Salt Lake City. It's near the Great Salt Lake, but where is it really near? What's in this area? Blue Spring Hills. Yeah, it's right at the peak of Great Salt Lake. Like there's this little part where it loops around. It like loops back around. This is at like the inflection point of it. So 3.0 near the Great Salt Lake. Then let me take some of these off. Looks like we've got a 3.5 and a 3.2 here on the Baja Peninsula at around 85 kilometers depth. 2.7 in Southern California at 1 kilometer depth, so surface level. And we had a 2.3 in southern Utah from yesterday, a 2.6 out in Montana, a 2.4 in Nevada. Then we've got, is this a surface one? Yeah, a surface 2.3 on the border of Nevada and Oregon. And that 4.3 that we saw yesterday during the broadcast at 3 kilometers depth. Most recent one was this 2.4 at 5. And actually the quake that just rung our bell is this 1.6 up here in a surface 1.6 near Denali National Park in Alaska, at a 2.6 up in northern Alaska, and a 4.0 in Denali, also at 107 kilometers depth, so pretty deep. And a 3.9 out on the Aleutian Island chain, 3.5 and 3.2 as we get closer to the mainland. And then our regular stack of tiny size quakes. Stack at the geysers has gone down a little bit, but is still outperforming a lot of our regular hotspots. We've got a decent amount of quaking going on in Hawaii, but nothing over 2.6. And it's all pretty shallow at like 1 or 0 kilometers depth, except when you get down here, we had a few around 35 kilometers. Okay, then as we go into, I feel like I just want to go this way today. Into the wave-shaped plate boundary, we've got a 4.4 at 228 between the Fiji Islands and Tonga Islands. We've got 4.6 at 141 kilometers depth in Tonga, 5.5, 5.3, and 5.2. All very shallow 5s here in Tonga. Then, and that is, we didn't get an update from the home reef eruption today from volcanoes today, but I believe that would still be going on if there's that much quaking in the area. We had 2.6, a surface 2.6 in southeastern Australia. Most of their quakes have been on the west coast recently. 4.8 as we get into New Guinea. Then we have 4.8 and 4.5s all stacked in the Banda Sea. A 5.1 here next to the Philippines at, you guessed it, 10 kilometers depth. Then right offshore of Japan, we had a 5.0 and a 4.6. 5.0 is at 55 kilometers and 4.6 at 34 kilometers. We had another 4.4 out here in, is this going to be in Kyrgyzstan, I believe? The borders on this program are a little outdated. This 4.4 was from yesterday, I think. Was it? Was there another one? Yeah. No, that's yesterday's 4.4. Then we had this 4.2 here in, where is this? Georgia. In Georgia. And that was at 10 kilometers depth. Then we got our regular clusterfuck over here in Greece with a lot of tremor level quakes, but the biggest ones, excuse me, being a 3.2 and 2.8 near Crete. Those are around 14 kilometers depth. All right, that is our earthquake roundup. Let's go to the atmosphere. See what's going on in the skies today. Oh, thank you. At work, one of my day jobs, I have many day jobs, but one of my day jobs, both of the supervisors have been sick for like months, and I think that they need more time off. But, there's not enough people to do their jobs for them to have time off. So when I go into this one job, I always end up getting a little bit of sniffles from them because I think this one manager in particular, I think, has a really bad sinus infection. I hope it's a sinus infection and not, the LC, but we'll see. I hope he's okay, but he's on vacation, so hopefully he can get better, get well soon. But I feel fine. I've just had, I've sneezed a couple times today, and I can tell my body's trying to get rid of everything I was exposed to the past few days at work. Okay. So this is why the golf tournament was delayed. We've got this big band of convection of thunderstorms streaking through southern Canada, like arcing up. This is like a short form wave. It's really all of that moisture that came through the Four Corners region from Alberto. Not all of it. There's still some onshore winds creating rain down here, but the bulk of the moist air that's been causing all the instability and convection has moved up into the Midwest and southern Canada, and we're seeing a lot of severe storms in New England area, upstate New York, New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, and moving into the New England area, New England proper. This is Connecticut, where I don't remember, Cromwell, I think, was where they said I don't know. Where was the golf tournament today? I think it said Cromwell, but I don't see that name popping up yet. Right here. So right in the middle of Connecticut today is when they saw those thunderstorms. That happened around 3 o'clock. So let's go back earlier, see if I can load more images. They're still looking at even more rain coming through, and this is the second day of the tournament that they've had a rain call happen. Hope everybody takes those seriously, especially because 3 people got struck by lightning today at that golf tournament. And that just goes to show you why it's important to have meteorologists on your team and consider meteorology when you're planning outdoor events, sporting things, concerts, plays, anything that happens outdoors with crowds of people. You need to have a meteorologist on staff so that you can make these safety calls appropriately. I'm loading 250 frames right now as a new special weather statement gets issued here in New York. Wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. These are things you usually see in the plains. Yeah, look at that. Wow, boy, they did get a lot of severe weather through there today. And it's not even close to over. God, I wonder what the rainfall rates were there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they got like 2 to 4 inches out of that. Well, maybe not 2 to 4, maybe like 1 to 3. But still, by the time it's all said and done, they're going to have a lot of rainfall. I tell you that. Accumulation is going to be huge. But that is not the only place with severe weather right now. Where we're really looking at the worst severe weather is back here on the way to Chicago from Missouri. So all the way through this diagonal right here from Quincy through Peoria to Chicago, and even stretching into parts of southern Wisconsin, though they got more of their rain earlier in the day. They actually had a pretty nasty system rush through there. But right now in the overnight hours, we're looking at a lot of diagonal. Well, it's really moving. It's propagating due east, but we have a good component, a strong eastward component in the shape of the storm. So it's going to be dragging out that rain over one little section for a while, leading to the risks of flash flooding, which is why we've got these flash flood warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings going on all over the place. Got an observed flash flood up here near Janesville. We have flash flood indicated by radar. And an observed flash flood here between DeWitt and Clinton in Iowa. Wait, no, Illinois. But there is one. Well, no, it's Iowa and Illinois. I'm sorry. From Iowa into Illinois, we've got that flash flood warning. Then a severe thunderstorm watch here. Just discusses and increase to diminish into the early hours of the morning. Convection has been gradually consolidating into a line generally coincident with strengthening low-level frontogenic forcing. This trails a developing surface cyclone now migrating across Lake Michigan into lower Michigan and will continue to slowly advance east-southeastward across the southern Lake Michigan and northern Illinois vicinity into the overnight hours. Although subtle low-level moisture return is still possible immediately ahead the evolving line, beneath a 30 to 40 knot west-southwesterly jet around 850 millibars, the downstream boundary layer, in general, is somewhat drier and characterized by increasingly weak potential instability beneath relatively warm mid-level air. So, it appears the ongoing convection could maintain intensity or perhaps intensify a bit further, with subcloud evaporative cooling contributing to downward mixing of the momentum and a few strong to severe surface gusts through the next couple hours. However, beyond 6 or 7Z, this seems likely to diminish as convection begins to weaken. So hopefully that little wedge of drier air in that mid-level is helping to destabilize and put a wrench in the continued growth of this convection. But it does look like even if it doesn't continue to grow, it still has a while to rain itself out before it's all said and done. Then we do still have these elevation-based rainstorms popping up here in the Four Corners region. Actually, only in the Four Corners states. We're still looking at some significant power outages in Lincoln County, and that is the county where Ruidoso is. It's on the way to Roswell, New Mexico. Not much else to say about that, except for it is continuing to rain there. Just continuing to rain. Also raining all over Arizona. Sporadic rain in Colorado and Utah. And looks like there's a little bit of a surface low coming into Vancouver, Seattle area, but it's not bringing with it a whole lot of moisture. And I think right now the sea surface temperatures off the Pacific coast are actually like unseasonably cold. So this is not a very favorable environment for whipping up a lot of moisture into the circulation. Down here, though, in the Gulf of Mexico, even though they did just get a lot of heat energy evaporated off through Alberto, we do have this other low that is forming itself, and we've also got the, these are Invest 92L and 93L. 92L is unfortunately throwing more rain bands toward Ciudad Victoria and Monterey. And that is not good because the Monterey mountain range here has been, that's the area that got really devastated by Alberto with over 120 people killed. So they do not need more flooding in North Mexico or New Mexico. But here it is anyway. Got some random pop-up thunder showers throughout the southeast today, but most of these are connected to the low pressure system that is 92L, which is here making its landfall right between Brunswick and Savannah. We've got a special weather statement issued for near Hinesville, Georgia, but it doesn't look as bad as Florida does, actually. We unfortunately, again, have another round of South Florida rain, and they don't really need it, but at least they had a little break before this started again. I don't know, y'all. Let's take a look at our accumulation. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna pull up Pivotal Weather to look at our weather, our rain accumulation today. I want to do observe preset, and I'll take you there with me. Okay, I'll take you there. Oh, can I do this? Okay. Oh man, now my OBS is not wanting to work. Can I get chat to be a pop out? Yes. Yes, I can. Ha ha ha. Perfect. No, I want it. No, I want this. Can I not have that? No, okay, sorry. I'm fucking with my OBS and it's not doing what I want it to do, so whatever. Okay. I wanted it to be in a little window I can see all the time so that I don't have to keep clicking into the window where I'm broadcasting, but whatever. Okay. We've got precipitation analysis, and look at all that precipitation in New Mexico in one day. This is the Sioux Falls incident. This is all that flooding that has unfortunately inundated the town of Sioux Falls, Iowa. That Iowa-Minnesota border is just drenched right now. I think they've got, that is registering as 8 to 10 inches. 8 to 10 inches of rainfall. That is terrible. And they are also getting up to 15 inches down here in Monterrey, Mexico. So that is just another walloping that they don't need. There's also been a lot of rainfall here in New England, especially for a place where there's a golf tournament going on. Let's see. They're getting up to 2 or 3 inches, maybe near 4, but not quite as bad as, right offshore of Orlando, they've got a lot of heavy weather, but it's really the coastal regions that are getting hit pretty hard in Florida today. Southern Texas coast as well has continued to get hit by a lot of rain. So there's really no place safe except for, I don't know, maybe the mountains in the Pacific Northwest and the mountains in the Southeast. Looks like the Ozarks, the Appalachians, and the Rockies, you're probably having decent weather. Everywhere else, though, it's either a wildfire or a flood. Or a dramatic heat wave. A lot of this rain didn't make it down to the ground to cool off the temperatures, or even if it did make it to the ground, it didn't really cool anything off. Maybe it took you from like 100 to 95 degrees, which is still miserable, especially if it's so hot and rainy that there's so much humidity in the air. Let's look at our analyses. Let's look at our dew points today. Ugh. Ew. I can't even imagine being in Connecticut today with these dew points and this temperature. That's got to be miserable. There's also, look at all these high temperatures, well into the hundreds in much of the valley region of California, and definitely into southwestern Arizona and Nevada. We are looking at hundreds easily. I don't want to look at this. I want to look at this one. Yeah. Oh, man. 107. As we're getting into Death Valley, we're getting closer to 110, 115. Then up here I guess it's only the 70s in Connecticut. But throughout Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, all the way through to Oklahoma, we're looking at really, really high temperatures, definitely easily in the 80s. There are these areas that have gotten rain-cooled air in them, and you can kind of see convection. You can kind of see the effect of the rain clouds on the temperature here. It looks like if you were doing watercolor and you literally added water to this area, the pigment got diluted. It's kind of like that, but with temperature. As really nasty. Let's take a look now at our satellite. Oh, yeah, and you see Invest 92L really kind of fell apart there as it made landfall. Thankfully not being the big troublemaker it could have been. But that's because this area it's embedded in it's embedded in the middle of that heat dome, in the middle of that high pressure, dry air, warm air circulation here. But then on the edge of that dry air is where we're getting all of this moisture funneled into the same area of Mexico and Texas that just got hit by Alberto. And you see the center of circulation is way down here, but the rain bands come all the way up here. And this is causing this big, this is still contributing to the conveyor belt of moisture coming from the Atlantic, just really bypassing the South and going across Mexico and coming back up through the Four Corners region and going straight for the Northeast by way of the Midwest. That's I kind of want there to be a change up. I think there will be soon. Hopefully there will be a change. Because this area is really drying out. I know I'm in the Southeast region, and it is. I think it's been enough days without rain. We need our summer rain back. I think the desert is done with it. I think the desert has enough rain, more than it could handle. Let's get these fire hoses aimed in the right directions again. Okay, let's see if there were any tornadoes reported. No tornadoes over the past 48 hours. Now, let's check out our global resonances, our Schumann resonances. Okay, so looks like that South Africa station has dropped back down to normal. Maybe there was something in the area that made it spike up so weirdly, but looks like everybody else is back down to around between 0 and 250 megawatts. Megawatts, probably. Still forgot to look that up. Solar wind speed is increasing again a little bit, but it's not quite as high as we got to last week. Our spectrogram calendar shows us decent but not startling performance. Actually, location 2, that Saudi Arabia, no, location 3, Lithuania, looks pretty hot. And I expect, South Africa, wow, there we go. There is their big decrease that we saw. Let's take a look at what Tomsk has to say. Okay, so we got one decent little burst really centered around mode 1, but we did have some charging up of mode 5 here as well. So we are definitely distributing our power a little bit higher into the higher frequency end of the spectrum. And that was kind of a lead up to the mode 1 power burst there. Let's go to our frequencies, see where we're sitting. I expect pretty high. Yeah, and we are. We're sitting pretty high on our frequencies. So that means that we're on a little bit more up there energy. We've also had pretty low amplitude with that power burst. So we're in the clear if you are very sensitive to Schumann resonances. Now let's take a look at our coronal mass ejections today, because, oh buddy, look at that. We did have a big boy, and that is, I bet, from our third name for the same region, 3664 3796. I think that's what it was. It's probably that one. We had a type 4 coronal mass ejection today, right over the UTC time. Boom! Look at that. Yes, it is back on the scene. Every 2 weeks, this thing keeps coming around and giving us the show of a lifetime. I'm so excited for this. Take a look at that scatter plot too. Really, really well balanced in both velocity and angle. That's very complete. So I agree with that type 4 classification there. That is exciting. Let's see what the sun looks like. Okay. Friend disk yet, but I bet it and you protons look pretty normal. Let's see, we did a little bit after that coronal mass ejection. It was about 8 hours after that coronal mass ejection, so it wasn't exactly. No, we had 2 M flares today. One an M.122 and one a M2.85. That's exciting. Let's take a look at our auroral activity. KP index is low. Hemispheric power is pretty low. Decent southward tilt to the magnetic field, but it's only moderately strong at this time. Let's see what our imagery looks like if we can see that coronal mass ejection on here. All right, there's a tornado spinning itself up. We don't really see much of a. I don't see much of one there. Let's look at maybe one of the composite images and see if it's which wavelength this showed up at. There's that M flare from these new regions. Looks like they're trying to act up. Not really seeing where that coronal mass ejection came from. I bet we're going to have to look at coronagraph imagery to see that. Let's see. Soho. Look at our last go 3. We're saying bye to Mercury right there. Venus still hanging out pretty close to the sun. Sorry, that was gross. Oh, there we go. There is the ejection. Looking nice. Looking nice. Take a look at it again. As we go into the 622, that's our big new one. I bet that came from the upcoming return of 3664. But we have not seen it rotate into Earth view yet, so we haven't gotten a new name for it. This is it right here. Just about to rotate in P92 right here. just as soon as we get rid of these guys that didn't really do much except for get more complex, we're going to get our old friend who was responsible for our big G5 geomagnetic storm back in May. It's about to rotate onto Earth view again. Has survived its trip around the sun, and it gave some pretty decent coronal mass ejections on the far side of the sun. So that'll be interesting to see that unfold. We I don't know if y'all watch Stefan Burns, but he's a good geophysicist on YouTube who he just put out a great video about some predictions for this next 2 weeks of solar weather. And he's predicted that as Mars approaches 21 degrees of Uranus, where the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction was earlier in the year, that solar activity is probably going to increase. Also coincides with the time period when the two rotate into Earth view as well. Now we've got the moon in Capricorn today. Oh, today is a Saturn day. We started broad. Oh, I lost my stream. Hold on. Extra camera was unplugged. What do you mean? Hold on. I hope I didn't do that for the entire update. Hope I didn't do that all the way since my OBS crashed, but maybe it did. Okay. There wasn't much to see on the sun either, so let's see. Now we're... Oh, wait, I didn't put it on screen yet. There we go. Okay. It's a Saturn day and Saturn hour. Well, it was a Saturn hour 8 minutes ago. We started broadcasting during the Saturn hour, which is what I always try to do. We've got the moon in Capricorn, which is Saturn sign. And that is opposite Mercury in Cancer. So moon opposite Mercury might be, and that's also, both of those are roughly square to the north node, which is where we had the eclipse, the eclipse point earlier in the year. We've got, it's probably a good day to do some work where you need to take initiative when it comes to something about communication or technology of communication, especially because there is this Jupiter in Gemini still hanging around, where on the one hand we have a lot of unfortunate headline fake food going around and famines and Ozempic and all the things of like Jupiter in Gemini is the opposite of Jupiter in Taurus, and that Jupiter in Taurus is very much buffet vibes, and Jupiter in Gemini is very much skinny queen vibes, very starving yourself on purpose or not by choice. It's a little bit more famine than abundance, but it also is all about talking and communication, and I think this could be a really good way to manifest physically new communication methods. So this moon in Capricorn is probably going to be some get your shit done. I love when the moon is in Capricorn on a Saturn day. I think that feels really aligned to me. And they are also, this moon is sextile Saturn in Pisces. So this is probably a great day to use Saturn for good if you would like to elect to do so. Otherwise, you're going to get your ass kicked by Saturn. It might feel very heavy, might feel a little sad today, or like, ugh, why bother? But if you just realize that it's a very heavily Saturnian day today, then you can get some shit done. Like, I was not having a very good emotional state today, but I did. I remembered it was Saturday and that it was probably going to be a good day for doing something on my to-do list or like working some shit out. So I did get to work on a project I had been putting off for a few weeks. I worked on getting some microphone sound equipment tested out and set up in a new way. So I think that if you're able to then elect to do something that is maybe a little hard and takes some discipline and might not seem rewarding at first, or isn't an immediate dopamine hit, but you'll feel satisfied and proud of yourself at the end of it. And then you'll feel like it's a good day. We still have Taurus, which is not the optimal placement of, so it's going to feel hard to take that initiatory energy, but where Mars is booking it through Taurus. It's moving right along. We're going to get to a big, fiery, explosive, electric Mars and Uranus conjunction by July 16th. And around July, it'll move into orb within 5 degrees of the conjunction around the beginning of July. So we're pretty close to this Mars having something to do. But right now, all it's doing is sextiling Venus in Cancer, which is, I think, good, probably giving it a little bit of a boost of benefic energy. Also, trine Moon in Capricorn, which we discussed yesterday as being like they probably would rather switch spots. But yeah, this is our strong and confusing, not really confusing, but our strong energy, very strong-willed, specific type of vibe, very Cancer season, very cardinal feeling Cancer season. The vibe of the first few days of Cancer season, I think, is going to be the vibe of this Cancer season. And when the moon moves through and starts making conjunctions to everyone, I think then we are going to actually see what headlines Cancer season has for us, other than, I think, Mars and Taurus is really bringing the climate change. It's not the only thing, but it's really highlighting the action, movement, and war in the actual Earth itself. You know, the Earth itself is moving. The Earth itself is taking initiative and doing stuff. And heating up. Hot, fiery Mars in Taurus. Yeah, of course we've got a heat wave going on. Are you kidding me? That makes so much sense that wildfires are starting right now. With lots of air, an abundance of air, a Jovian abundance of air in Gemini, and a lot of heat in the ground. It sounds like wildfires, landslides, volcanoes, etc. And unfortunately, Neptune in Pisces has got that indication of death by water, or violence associated with an inundation of water, abundance of water, or poisoning of water, toxicity. Yeah, that kind of stuff. So be careful where you're getting your water and what you're drinking, and be careful of the air you're breathing, and try to stay regulated as possible. As regulated as possible. Okay, now let's do a little card reading. And today, I am actually feeling like I would like to use a different deck than I usually do. use this deck that I have seeded with this piece of labradorite. This is a very different type of labradorite. It's a polished cabochon. It's kind of harder to capture the flash, but you can see the color a lot better, I think. Maybe it's easier to capture the flash. I don't know. Try not to get the glare, but the actual flash. This piece is actually from Mexico. It's pretty clear as well. This one's a bit see-through. I don't know if y'all can... No, you can't really see how see-through it is. Unless I like... Yeah. There we go. Yeah, you can see the clear see-throughness of this one now. How transparent this is. Really pretty flash on there. So, yes. For this one, this is the Wild Unknown Tarot. We're gonna do try and shuffle as quietly as I can. All right. So, Wild Unknown Tarot, thanks for coming out today. What we're doing is getting a reading of the energy that's coming into the world, not just for me, but for everybody watching and listening. The energy that's coming into the world from beyond the planets, beyond the solar system, everything beyond our current perception, maybe from deep within the planet. What's the energy coming up from the core of the earth, the molten center, the chewy molten nougat center of the earth, or maybe even from the depths of the ocean that feels like outer space, is kind of scarier than outer space sometimes. What is one card that can... Actually, no, we'll do a 3-card pull. What is 3 cards for the vibes there of what's going on, what's coming out, what's coming out and coming in to the surface? What's everything we can't tell with telescopes? Okay. We got the Empress card upright, the Devil card upright, and the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Wow. Okay. So this is what the Empress looks like in this deck. It's really pretty, like cherry tree vibes with a crescent moon. This is what the Devil card looks like in this deck. It's a goat with a pentagram on its forehead and its little hooves are on fire. And this is what Ace of Pentacles looks like in this deck. It's a tree stump with a 5-pointed crack in the middle. So, let's start with our major arcana. Okay. The Empress, and I'm going to read from the book on this one and then maybe do a little channeled interpretation of the three together. Creation, nature, the mother. The Empress is the mother or the goddess of the tarot. Her energy encompasses all that is warm, fertile, creative, and sensual in the world. Her strength comes from being gentle and compassionate and loving without binding. When this card appears, it's pointing to either a maternal relationship in your life or the side of yourself that wants to love more. The Empress also suggests that it's time for you to reconnect with nature. Go outside tonight and find the moon. That's beautiful, and also very appropriate for Cancer season, I think. So that is one of the energies coming in. Next energy coming in is the Devil, which we're going to have fun reading because this one is about addiction and negativity. Though it may feel frightening when the devil appears in your reading, this card carries an urgent message and must be interpreted with total honesty. The darkness of the devil card takes the form of addiction, negativity, or materialism. It can indicate an ugly relationship with a person or substance. Identify this dependency and how it's holding you back. The devil's hooves are strong and relentless. Their grip will not loosen unless a conscious change is made. Free yourself. So I think that is one aspect of the Empress card that we don't focus on a lot, is with the abundance of the material comforts comes the addiction and dependence on the material comforts. And this together, I think, is Saturn and Venus. This the devil is definitely Saturn. The Empress is definitely Venus in my mind. And for a Saturn day, a Satyrs day, a Saturn day, Saturday, the devil is definitely the vibe. For the Empress, we're a Saturday in Cancer season. Of course, the devil and the Empress are going to pop out. Then we've got the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And the book I'm reading doesn't have a reversal interpretation, but I'm going to take their thing and I'm going to read their upright orientation and then interpret for a reversal here. Prosperous beings upright, or prosperous beginnings is upright. In the center of even the giant redwood trees, a tiny seedling once stood. Such is the energy of the Ace of Pentacles. It's the seed that takes root, grounding you for the future. You're in the beginning phases of a prosperous venture. Stay grounded. Go outside and take time to appreciate nature. You may also find a windfall of wealth headed your way. So I'm actually going to interpret this as you potentially might lose some wealth if you get caught up in your addictions right now. The way out of being swept up in materialistic addictions is to go outside and get in touch with nature and find the brain chemicals, those neurotransmitters that you're trying to replicate with alcohol or drugs or video games or manipulating people in your life. That can be an addiction. People can be addicted to social drama. People can get addicted to talking shit. That's definitely something. Or like you can even be addicted to the news cycle, to your phone, to hating people in power. You can get a little dopamine hit off of thinking about how bad the world is if you want to feel bad. It's kind of like cutting yourself. It gives you a dopamine hit because it hurts, but like you were in control of it, so you feel good about it. Sometimes the abundance that we have here, this is possibly a time to find a new practice of resisting addiction, but also possibly a time that you could go down a not necessarily dark path, but a path of forfeiting your current blessings for the sake of remaining in a cycle of reward chemicals. I think abundance comes from knowing how to sustainably have those reward chemicals without using potions or spells. Spells being addictive behaviors and potions being addictive substances. It's very, that's very much what I'm getting from these three cards together is, you have the option to do whatever you want right now, but is it what you want to do, or is it what you know will get you a familiar result? Maybe we put our abundance and discipline energy into getting in touch with nature rather than continuing the cycle of depending on an outer thing. It's also very much giving climate change, in my opinion, because this is definitely the downfall of having all of our material abundance of the current state of the world, is that you just get too hot. You get too fucking hot when you're burning this much. When you're burning this much fuel, burning the candle at both ends, there is a lot that... There's a lot there. There's a lot there. This deck likes to read me, so I picked it tonight, I think, because I wanted to get read. I wanted to be read for filth, so this deck definitely did that. Okay, well, we've done it, y'all. Thank you for being here with me on another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. I love you all so much. I hope that you are staying safe and happy out there. Remember to go outside and ground yourself in the earth. Get in some barefoot contact. Put your bare feet. I have forest feet. My feet are covered in calluses for walking barefoot in the forest. Go out there and put your bare feet on the ground. Okay. Maybe wash them, and if you're in an area where hookworm is a problem, but most important thing is to go outside and ground yourself every single day, or have some sort of outdoor practice where you get in touch with the electrical, the background electromagnetic field of the earth itself, rather than the false electromagnetic fields that are created indoors in places with lots of electronics and that are separated from nature. Just go ground yourself. Try not to go too crazy. I love you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow evening. Thanks for being here. Bye.